Welcome to Business Leader Breakthroughs, where we help unlock the potential in you, your teams, and your business. I'm your host, Ryan Castle, along with Dr. Mike Ashby. We'll share insights, experiences, and stories on achieving breakthrough success in business and life. To learn more, click the link in the episode show notes or go to thebreakthrough.co. Now let the breakthroughs begin. Hey Mike, welcome along to the podcast.
Thanks Ryan, great to be here.
It's good to be back in the what I call the studio, so to speak. Nice connect. I'm going to kick us off today with a question, which is, why isn't everybody like me?
It's a funny thing, isn't it? You sort of know that people aren't, and yet we wander along through life thinking that, somebody said this, other people are basically failed versions of ourselves. Like, even though we know we shouldn't expect people to operate like us, we still do. And we think they would think the same way as us if they had more information, which we give them on our terms as well. So, yeah, why aren't people like me? I don't know. I think the world I'm not sure that the world would be a happier or more efficient place, actually, to be honest, when I think about it.
No, I'm reasonably concerned about 7 billion Dr. Mike Ashby's walking around the globe. I think I guess medical science would allow us to continue to grow the population with just Mikes, maybe. But the question is really, we have different working styles as we engage. We have different styles, full stop, and then certainly in a work context, we have different working styles. And I think we know what would happen if we only had Mike and Ryan's at the breakthrough. What do we think would be the main outcome there?
There'd be a lot of noise and a lot of action. Yeah, I don't know that we'd have much of a team with us. And I don't know if the details would get really taken care of. You're better at detail than I am, but you're still not that good.
Still not good. Still definitely not a strength. And I'm sure our listeners are very aware. Probably everyone's done some kind of personality test, whether it's a Myers-Briggs or business chemistry of teams or DISC or predictive index. These are hundreds of these tools out there. And I personally think they're valuable for one thing mostly, and that is just helping you to understand that not everybody's like you.
Totally. That's pretty much it. It's just to kind of remind yourself of that fundamental truth, so that when you're talking to people, and like for me as a pioneer, when I'm talking to people and I can see ideas flying past people's eyes, and I think, what's wrong with them? Perfectly obvious. This is a very valuable statement I've just made. It's going, oh, wait, okay, actually they're guardians, or there's no kind of people element to it, or, it's a completely data-free statement, or there's no kind of conclusion to it. It's just, so helping, remembering that, I then kind of pull myself up. Not always as much as I should, but I try and pull myself up and go, okay, what do I need for this person? I was just reading some lovely feedback from one of our clients, and they were saying that working with your team module made a huge difference to the whole organization. It's been an absolute game changer. And it's because, as they said, instead of just communicating in her natural style, she's really making the effort to get on the wavelength of her team and express her thoughts and her views in ways that they get. And she didn't go into what she is versus the rest, but just that idea of stopping, making a choice about how you communicate.
Let us maybe share a couple of examples. We like the business chemistry of teams framework. It's been used by Deloitte a lot, although they weren't the original authors of it. And we like it because it's a simple framework. It really helps people identify primarily in one of 4 categories. Pioneers, which we know you are a very strong pioneer. Our pioneers tend to be our ideas people. They are future thinkers, typically a little light on detail. They are people that paint visions. And that often people follow. You find a high incidence in entrepreneurship of people that are pioneers by style. And then myself, I'm more primarily driver. We're the people that like to get in and get stuff done, and we may do that at a cost, which I'll talk about. The other 2 styles are the guardian And our guardians are those people that are great with detail.
Mm.
They are very, very good at following process. They're very good at dotting the I's and crossing the T's.
Mm.
And what we observe is that pioneers and guardians, they tend to be the ones that clash in their communication style. And I don't mean that in a negative or in an aggressive way. It's just when you're talking pioneer, you're not speaking guardian.
Yeah, that's right.
Right. And I think on the other side, the fourth archetype is the integrator. And those are the people that tend to be very in tune with what's going on at a people level in your organization. Yeah. They will be the people that observe what's happening with the energy, where's the vibe in our business. Mm-hmm. They are often very good at connecting at the human level. Mm. So for me as a driver, if I've got a group of integrators in a meeting and I walk in and just jump straight to bullet point 1 without any kind of personal interaction, all the integrators in the room are going, Ryan, what are you doing? Like you haven't even asked if I'm alive, I'm a person, how am I feeling? None of those things. Mm. So I think understanding those, certainly for my own management and leadership journey, this understanding or this awareness has been one of the most fundamental skills that I've learned. And we talk in our programs about we teach skills and people learn awareness.
Yeah, that's right.
And having learned the skill, the awareness I can now bring to a meeting room and going, what's the shape of the room we've got here? How might I make this applicable to the guardians? How can I lead this meeting off so the integrators feel aligned and heard and seen? I know there's a driver over there. I better make sure that we cover the action points at the end of the meeting. And I'll try and restrict the pioneers to no more than 3 new ideas in this one meeting.
You're sounding pretty pioneery there yourself, mate. And actually, that's one of the things, just to be clear, because some people go, oh, I'm none of those, or I'm all of them, or I don't like being put in boxes. Ooh. And the thing that we like about this is that it's not boxes. It's actually a wheel. And people are definitely 1, often 2, and sometimes 3 of those things. But there's the kind of the 1 at the middle, and then there's the 2 on the shoulder. Often you know what you are by reference to what you are not. So you've identified, I am definitely not a detail person, and I've got pioneer characteristics. Even though you're an extrovert, actually you're not an integrator. You're much more the data, the decision making, the action point. Let's get on with it. But both of us have bits on the side, So I'm quite strong on the driver's side. So you and I meet there, and you're also, that's your pioneer is your second bit. So we really meet there. If you go off with some crazy idea, I'm the one who kind of pulls you back to, well, is there any evidence for that? How many times, etc. And vice versa. That's the role we play for each other. And then you can build a beautiful spreadsheet, right? It's you're a spreadsheet maestro is what I'd call it. So you can do the detail. And I call myself a closet integrator because I am quite conscious that there are times when I'll think about, okay, how's this person feeling about that? Or have we heard from that person there? We've got a guardian in our group, haven't we? An archetype guardian, delightful, but very quiet, quite introverted. And I always make a point of asking her what she thinks. And she's always got something useful to say. And now I cannot imagine in a world where I've got something useful to say and I haven't shared it with the world. How could you live, right? She'll leave that meeting with this wonderful insight still in her head. It's with people. So, the point, I guess, is that knowing that I'm a pioneer, I look for people who've got that detailed stuff. And that came for me from working with the wonderful Wendy all those years ago, where, I'd stroll in the door. Sometimes I used to do it for fun, actually. I'd stroll in the door and say, I've got this great new idea. And she'd be at her spotlessly, do you remember her spotlessly clean desk? Like every night it was, what do they call that thing with the desk where there's nothing on it? Yeah, that. She had that every night at the end of work. And I'd watch her shoulders from back. She'd kind of hunch because she learned not to kind of jump and flap her arms in fear. So between us, we kind of worked out, I really needed her tremendous detail, process, what happens now, what happens. She'd take notes on everything. But then, nothing would have happened if if I didn't kind of stroll in with a new idea somewhere along the line. So it's the combination of people. It's no secret. It's just how you think about combining diverse strengths. And we really like this system because it's so simple. You don't even need to do a quiz. You can, and we'll give you access to it. But it's just so obvious what you are or what you aren't. And then, as you say, key point is that's me. That's not everyone.
Indeed. And a team succeeds when there are the diverse types involved, right? And I think it's where hiring decisions often go wrong because we naturally connect with people like us. So we tend to hire people that are like us, and then you end up with a room full of the same type that you are. And there's either lots of great ideas and no execution, or lots of execution and no love, or too much focused on today's process and not thinking about where is this business evolving to tomorrow. So we need all of those types in the room, and being conscious of it at hiring, being conscious of it when you are meeting with people, when you're engaging with them, even how you communicate. So a really interesting insight is just how people write their emails.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I, as a driver, I'm like very light on greeting, almost none. Possibly none. I'm like, here are the 3 bullet points, and that's it. That would be my natural writing style. An integrator will typically lead off with, "Hey Ryan, how are you feeling? Hope you're having a great day. What's your week been like?" etc. And that is great. That is their style. So when I'm trying to communicate with a integrator, I try to bring some of that to my communication.
Yeah. I think it's that. I think it's like I was reflecting on this as we've been rewriting it a bit. And I was conscious that the other day I was doing pioneering stuff. The team was all there, and I thought, well, maybe I should kind of adapt some of this. And I realized that I don't always do this. I don't always adapt. Sometimes it's just kind of, I'm just going to let that sit there and let them work out that, oh God, Mike's been a pioneer again. And that works okay. It means that they don't, kind of write it off. It's just that I'm in that mode. But it is the awareness, and we always talk about progress, not perfection. I am definitely imperfect at adjusting my style for others, but the awareness means I do it more often than I would do if I didn't know about the kind of the wheel. So in any of these things, all the activity, all the value is at the margin. It's the difference between. It's like, I've been talking about return on investment with a company that's got a big transformation program. We're saying, well, okay, so actually you want to know the return on investment in training. Well, let's say that you don't invest in training. How's that going to go for you in your big transformation goals? And then let's say you do invest in training. It'll go slightly better, for sure, if not a whole lot better. That's the return. It's not that we're going to turn your whole team into superstars and you're going to completely nail this transformation. It's that you've got a better chance if you train your people, and you've got a chance of creating a better transformation, bigger results if you train your managers, if you train your leaders. So it's the same in this, You don't need to be wandering around all day going, well, Pioneer, this is an integrator. I must talk about their feelings. I must kind of connect with them. As a detailed person, I need to kind of, get down into the traditions and the, conserving. You don't need to do that. It's at the margin when you've got something important to say, think about the people that you are talking to. And of all the indexes and, TMIs and Colbys and Belbins and all those other things that we've looked at over the years, this has been the best. And it's because it's not about psychology or the way you think or your personality. It's about behaviors. And we are all about behaviors. And it's reasonably close. There's a good correlation to DISC, which is very widely used. You can sort of, they're not that hard to map. But again, the team chemistry stuff is much more about behaviors.
And I like the word style as well. Like, what's your working style?
Yeah.
Which doesn't mean to say as a driver that I can't operate well as an integrator or do detail when I need to, or pioneer at the right time. But it's like my predominant style will be driver, and I think that awareness is great. And I have found this very helpful for you and I as we work together.
Yeah.
I think when I very first started in this partnership, the volume and velocity of ideas he had just freaked me out. I was like, we talked about 3 things. You said I've just started trying to work on getting those things implemented today. Yeah. I've got 3 more, and I'm exaggerating, of course, but I learned over time that is a strength you bring to this partnership, is that you have a lot of ideas. You think deeply about how could we do things better? How could we make it better for the customer? What's the next evolution of our business model? All those things are great.
Yeah.
And what I learned is that I wait until you've mentioned the same idea 3 times. If you've mentioned the same idea 3 times, I'm like, okay, I need to pay attention to this one.
Yeah. That's fair. And that's wise, really, because there is a lot of, and the same as for me, some things I hang on to and kind of go with. And then when you and I talk about them, it comes down to, well, okay, what's the data around that idea? What's the evidence? What's the next
test it?
How could we test it? Yeah, all of that good stuff, which is the analytical. I'm not analytical. I'm more intuitive and kind of creative. But then you need to back that up with the analytical, and then you need to take it through the kind of, okay, here are the steps in the detail about how it's going to work, and then you need to take it through the team, because we want them to be all on side with it. So it really does take that whole group working, and that's where very strong partnership at a strategy level is complemented by our team, who've got those other bases so well covered. And that's the trick, isn't it? That's what diversity, to me, above all else, that's what it really means, is that in a team, you've got those bases covered and everybody respects what everybody else is doing in that sense.
Spot on.
I think that's us.
I think so. I think it's good insight. What would we say to our listeners? The next meeting you go into, observe. How are different people interacting? How are they reacting to different levels of, big idea versus process versus detail versus personal interaction? Just sit back and observe, see what you can see, and try some different communication with them.
Yeah, listen up. If people are talking about feeling, they use the word I feel, or they're talking about the team and getting the team on side and those kinds of things, then, you've probably got an integrator there, or you've got somebody who's quietly kind of taking it all in, and then they might ask a detailed question. You've probably got a guardian. And if you've got somebody who's keen to get on with it, you've got a driver. And if there's some Wally off somewhere onto another planet, you've probably got a pioneer. You should be so lucky, is what I say.
And to reiterate, you need all of them.
You need all of them. Yeah, in equal measure. Yeah, absolutely.
Great. Thanks, Mike. See you on the next episode.
See you, mate. Cheers.